Hello students, today we're going to have a bonus learning. This week we have learned about play and the role that play plays in the learning in young children. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a concept called the zone of proximal development. So to start off, we have two videos. There's video one and there's video two. So I would encourage you to go into the Google Slides and watch those so you can learn more about the zone of proximal development. Essentially, the zone of proximal development talks about if we're teaching children something, we want them to learn something. Let's say we want them to learn how to tie their shoes. We're not going to start and say, oh, today we're going to tie our shoes. We're going to break it down into little bitty steps. So first I get the shoelaces straightened out, then I do that first little X thing, and then I do an ear, then I do an ear, and so on. So we would teach that kind of thing in steps. That may be a bad example, but essentially we just want to know that we want to use baby steps when helping children learn new concepts. So at this point in our presentation, I was going to click on the what are some things we want young children to learn while in our classroom, and we're going to talk about just some basic things that we might want preschoolers, kindergartners, and early primary students to learn. Nothing rocket science here, just some basic things. Like preschoolers, I want them to learn social skills. I want them to learn some basic math concepts. I want them to learn how to play independently. I want them to learn how to get along with others, that kind of thing. So we were going to list some of those things that we want children to learn. Next, we're going to kind of dive into a 6 or 7 step process using the zone of proximal development. So our first thing to do is to think about the child and where are they currently at in their understanding of this concept or having this skill. So really look at them and say, now just where they are right now. The second step is what is the goal for students? So in that bad example I used, it was tying shoes. The goal is for children to be able to tie their shoes independently because it's an important life skill to have. So what is the goal we have for the student? The goal may be knowing how to ask another child if they can use a toy when the child is finished using it. That is a goal that we would have for children because that's part of sharing. Step 3 is to say, what are some baby steps the child can take with your assistance as the teacher to arrive at that goal? So in other words, what would be some baby steps for moving from the child's current level of knowledge or skill to where we want them to go? So we're going to figure out little steps that we can take to help a child. And then just to pose a question, what happens when we take too small of a step or too large of a step? This is where the zone of proximal development is very important because too small of a step equals boring. A child would be bored if we go too slow, too simple, but if we go too large of a step, that's not going to be good for the child either because then they're going to be frustrated and they may give up trying. So we need to find something that is just a little more difficult than where they're at right now and take them during that step. And importantly, I said, where can the teacher help? Because our teacher's role is to help the child, to assist the child in moving from one step to the next step, or an immature step to the more mature step. Step 4 is going to be looking at instructional strategies to help the child achieve the goal, knowledge, or behavior. So strategies that we might use in teaching might be demonstration. I might just demonstrate and show the child how to do something. If I'm building with blocks and want to create a bridge or something like that, I might demonstrate that. Demonstration is very similar to modeling, so I might model it. I might give verbal cues to a child saying, well, let's do this, then this, then this. So I'm coaching the child using verbal skills. Direct instruction may be something we use with elementary students where we are the kind of the speaker and they're listening and they're hearing what we say and taking steps as we do that. Another strategy might be partnering a skilled student with a developing student. So this is a really neat thing to do, is to take somebody who's got good competence in a skill and partner them with somebody else. So Picture an early elementary school, first grade, and you're learning some math concepts, and you've got one child, one student in your class who knows things really well, another one who doesn't. So you could partner these together. The skilled child, it's very helpful because when you explain something, it truly shows that you understand what you're talking about and you know it. And it also builds their self-esteem. The developing child, it's also good because they're forming a friendship with another student and getting instruction and getting coaching. And we should always in life be able to coach one another and learn from one another. So that's a strategy that I think is a neat one. Step 5, we're going to apply those strategies to help the child move in the direction of the goals. So those teaching strategies that we thought of, we're going to apply them. We're going to try them and see if we can help the child to move from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, etc. Step 6, I think, is a really important one. It's all about affirmation. So when a child starts to make progress, we're going to recognize what they do, we're going to affirm it, and we're going to appreciate the student in making progress. We're going to appreciate them for making baby steps. So some sentence starters that I might use would be, wow, I noticed that you... So when I say this, the wow part is showing excitement, it's showing appreciation, it's showing affirmation, and I'm really focused on the specific skill or knowledge that they're learning. So it's not a general good job that doesn't really mean anything, or well done that doesn't really mean anything. It's I noticed, and then you be specific. A second sentence starter you may use is, I can tell you're working very hard too. So this one really focuses on the effort that they're putting into something, and we really want to always applaud and appreciate and affirm effort. Next one, I appreciate how diligently you're working on. So this again is another affirming sentence. It's throwing in one of those $20 words, diligently, meaning you're working hard, you're persevering, you're putting everything into it. Next one is thank you for showing me how you... So this is the same kind of thing. It's kind of like noticing, but the child shows us something, so we're thanking them for that. Step 7 in this is add the next baby steps once mastery or competence is attained. So remember that goal in mind that you have as a teacher of where you want the child to go and what's an appropriate place for them to go. What is the next baby step that you can add to help the child to continue to make progress toward that goal? In the live going through of this lesson, what we would then do is we would go to some of those behaviors that we were talking about, or some of the knowledge that we wanted children to gain as preschoolers, as kindergartners, as early primary students, and we were going to pick a few of those and go through this step 1 through 7 and kind of see how we would apply these steps to those goals that we have for students. So that is all. Thank you.